All right, class, we're going to deal with the object that we've been creating here. This is tutorial 3 of a 5 series tutorial. Okay, so here's our library. Go ahead and select your piece, bring it up, and we are going to get into our tutorial. All right, so we're going to go through a few features and show you how to go back in time and adjust things that were off by a little bit, and you want to go in there and make some minor adjustments and then reprint this thing on your 3D printer. So we're going to go to Sketch 2. We're going to jump all the way back to the sketch, and we're going to adjust the distance that cutout is from the end there by 0.4 inches from the end, and then 0.1 inches wide. And then we're going to click the check mark, and it's going to recut that. Then we are going to go into the extrusion, and we're going to not that one. It's the metal extrusion. We got to go back to extrusion 2. There it is. All right, so we're going to click on that on the depth, and we're going to go a little bit deeper. Let's just say that the piece that you printed in the printer was off, and so you want to adjust the depth to make it a better fit. So we're jumping in there, and we're going to cut into this piece just a little bit more. You can use the wheel on the mouse, or you can actually type in the value. And since our default setting is in inches, you don't actually have to type in inches. It does it for you. All right, so if you want to have different depths, you're going to have to recreate those individually and have separate extrusions. All right, so we're going to go extrusion 2, and we're going to suppress that. When you suppress an extrusion, it just makes it disappear, and it didn't delete it, but it's not going to print unless you unsuppress it. And so then this is just if you want to redraw, start from scratch, but you want to be able to save that step in case you want to bring it back. So I unsuppress it, brings it back. That's a pretty neat feature. So if you want to compare and contrast of before and after, you can use that suppression feature. All right, so now we're going to just hover across the menu buttons across the top. 1 or 2 seconds hovering, it brings up a description of what that thing does. And one of the main things that I use a lot is the fillet. What the fillet does is you click on an edge or edges, and you use the fillet to round off that edge. What that does is it, in a sense, it makes that edge stronger. That arch that you've created distributes weight a lot more efficiently than a straight 90-degree angle edge. So if you really want to create a durable 3D print, a good way to do that is to fillet your edges. So and it looks like I filleted just a little bit too much. So you want to make sure when you do fillet you don't cut into your dovetail there or any other object that you have. So cut that down from 0.2 to 0.1, 0.15, and that's in inches. So that avoids cutting into your dovetail. That wouldn't have done much. I mean, it whatever fits in that dovetail still would have gone in there, but that looks a lot better. All right, so another area, the center of this piece is obviously going to be the weakest part of it. So you want to strengthen up just a little bit with the filleting. It doesn't have to be too drastic. 0.15 is good enough. And that since we slimmed up that first notch, that's another weak point, because whatever fits into that first notch is going to probably hit the face of that. So to avoid damage, you can fillet those as well. And just a very slight fade. Sometimes you have to reselect it. Too much. That's good. So, yeah, I use that feature a lot, and that if you're going to win a design award in any robotics competition, this is the way to do it. Make your pieces look professional, durable, and that's how you do it. All right, so we've gone through quite a bit of the features. Let's see if there's anything else I want to discuss. Let's see here. So we can also adjust that extrusion. When we first made this, we made it 0.375 on the length and diameter. And I did that on purpose because I knew that I'd have to come back and readjust it. So if you want to use the arrow, you can. That's a less scientific way of doing it. But if you know your exact dimensions, and you probably can by measuring the other piece that you're going to fit this up against, you can type that number in. And if this is going to be a attached and detached on a continual basis, you want to make sure that you make it stronger with the fillet. And it doesn't have to be that much too dramatic. And there you go. That's a nice 3D print. So if you use a liquid resin printer, that could take 2 hours. With the MakerBot printer, less than an hour. But the resin 3D printer is a lot more professional. Hopefully we can get one of those for the school. Anyway, so I'm going to mention this over and over again. Make sure when you create a piece that you make a backup. So if you want to start over again, but you don't want to completely start over, have some copies along the way as you go. It's just a good way to, also if you want to send one of those to your friend that can't quite get past, step 3 or step 4, you've already made it to step 4. It's a good way to send your friend a copy and say, hey, I got you to step 3, and here you go, and go on to 4 and 5. And it's a good way to help your buddy out. All right, so we're going to see you in tutorial 4. We're going to be using the same object. We're going to talk about some more features and get you more familiar with Onshape. And like I said before, Onshape, Autodesk Inventor, SolidWorks, you're all going to see a familiar pattern with the menu. They all are slightly different, but we've done a few Inventor tutorials. You're going to have lots of Onshape tutorials, and then we'll eventually get into SolidWorks. And SolidWorks is one of the more industry standard software platforms that you may want to eventually move toward. But with Onshape, you can see down here on the my account here, I've imported off a website called GrabCAD, and that's where a lot of engineers will store all their pieces they've created. You can go out there and join for free and borrow. So make sure you thank them for their library. They give their libraries out for free, and you can import all these parts and then add it to your part. And you can take that bracket, that 32 millimeter channel, the second one down the list there. You can take that bracket and add it to the piece that you just created. Now you can actually attach it on there and print the entire thing. So you can actually borrow parts and add to your assembly, and we're going to walk you through that as well. Alright, so I'll see you in tutorial 4. This is a fun little tutorial, some little features that we got, and I'll see you in tutorial 4.